Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have Denise Pridemore from Paranormal Pride radio show on Paranormal King Radio Network. We've had her on before. We've talked about the Sally House, the McPike Mansion, and the facility. I mess this up every time. Liska Axe Murder House. I had it earlier, didn't I? Yep, and I totally butchered it. Whatever. All right, we're going to talk about that, but we're going to have open lines tonight too. You're going to be able to call in while we're talking if you want to ask Denise a question about any of these great locations. You can call in on the Skype line OOJBLANDOO. That's the Skype ID. You just send me contact requests, call into the show, and you can ask your questions right to her and get to talk to Denise. If you're a fan of her show, this is your chance to get to talk to her. So call in. All right, guys, we'll be with you in just one sec. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. I'm happy to have Denise Pridemore on the show again. She is one of the best, I swear when it comes to talking about these places, one of the best storytellers to talk about it. I just love your information and your knowledge of it. So I'm really happy to have you back. How are you doing tonight, Denise?
I'm great. Glad to be back.
We're, of course, got the World Wide Web of Weird here we're going to do in just a second. And I got Jamie D with us in the panel again tonight. Judy cannot make it. Internet connection went down. Oh, she's had the worst luck lately. So no Judy tonight, sadly. Hopefully next week we get her on. Sorry, Judy. Hopefully next time we get you on. Hopefully they figure out your internet connection. Of course, we're going to have the World Wide Web of Weird, and it's weird, of course. So let's go ahead and roll into that so we can get to Denise. And like I said tonight, you'll see it right here on my lower third for the moment. I got it up. Is OOJBLANDOO. That is the Skype line. After the World Wide Web of Weird, me and Denise are going to start talking, but you can call in during that time. Just wait for us to get a second. You'll hear us talking if you call in, but we won't hear you until I pull you on the show. So just give us a minute to end where we're at, and I'll pull you on the show. But not till after the World Wide Web of Weird. And so let's go ahead and get into that right now. Let me get the screen share up here. All right, tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, we got some weirdness, of course. To start off on the World Wide Web of Weird, I want to talk about this here. I've always wanted to be able to talk about a Rougarou on my show. You hear about Bigfoot, even Dogman, and even werewolf sightings, but you don't hear too many people talk about Rougarou sightings. So I saw this posted. This came from January 2015 near the Bayou Manicock, Louisiana, and thought to be only an optical illusion caused by shadowing. Deputy Assessor Justin Champlin said recently, as we examined the photo in more detail, it became clear that a hirsute beast was roaming the swamps of northern Ascension and walking upright. Champlin forwarded the imagery to Louisiana's Department of Wildlife, Forestry, and Unidentified Anomalies. They have a place for that? Wow. Attempts to obtain comment from the LDWFUA, that's a long one, were unsuccessful. All right, so here's the image. I don't know how legit this really is. Let me pause it there, and then I got to make sure I got something else here locked on. Get on my screen. There we go. So is it a Rougarou? Is it a man-beast, werewolf, man-bear, pig for South Park fans? I don't know. I'd love to hear more information. Like I said, this was from January 2014, but I've been seeing this. I think I saw this pop up on Sasquatchable, I think. And this next one I have up after this is from Sasquatchable Chronicles. Let me get the article up for that. This one's going to be hard to see, and I suggest you find the video to see for yourself and pull it up on a big screen coming up here in a second. This is a weird one. There's not much story on this one either. Oh, I got the wrong one here. Hold on. This is Bigfoot drone footage. Now, I didn't have an article for this one, actually. This is possibly a Bigfoot running towards the trees and vanishing in them. 25 seconds in the video, you can see it running on 2 legs. I wish you were closer to get a better video. You need to watch this on a computer monitor. If you use phones, it's too small to see. It is very small. So if you're watching this show on a bigger screen, you might be able to see it. But it's interesting. And I've talked about, as drones come out, the technology of drones, how many weird creatures are drones going to spot. And we're finding more and more. It's probably like with the 3rd or 4th Bigfoot drone video I've shown now on the show, that it's going to be more prevalent. And, maybe Bigfoot, the hide-and-seek game could be over with drones. I don't know. But it's also a lot of misidentification. This is flying high. Let me mute this audio here. It's right here. You can just barely see him running. It's this little figure because this drone's up so high. You see the drone tries to fly down and take a look to see what it is, but it just doesn't get close enough, and it gets into the woods, sadly, away. But it's interesting. I'll rewind it again just in case you want to take another look. Let me rewind the video. It's this very teeny little guy running in there, and that could be a person, that could be an animal. I don't know if that's Bigfoot. It'd been better if they could got closer. Maybe someone will come out with some zoomed up image of this yet. I haven't seen, but I'd be interested in seeing it. Like I said, drones are going to be the new way of capturing Bigfoot because they can smell people probably, but I don't think they can tell a drone's in the air. All right, this next one, classic old Loch Ness monster footage. This, to me, is not the greatest footage. I think it's lake swells or something, not the best. Like, it's definitely Loch Ness or anything, but it's been circulating around the web. Tourists from Ireland, this comes from the Coast to Coast AM site, making their first visit to Loch Ness last week, may have had some beginner's luck when coming to spotting the infamous Nessie. Tony Bly was vacationing at the paranormal landmark last week when he noticed a number of odd shapes seemingly swimming across the water. It was quite long, he told the Inverse Courier. The humps were consistently the same length apart. I don't know what it was, if it was very unusual. Fortunately for Bly, managed to film the odd scene unfolding before him on his cell phone and showed the footage to excited staff at the Loch Ness Visitor Center. But one Nessie researcher who has seen the footage believes that the humps are not actually a glimpse of the legendary creature. Adrian Shine of the Loch Ness Project believes the disturbance in the waters are merely wake created by boats that Bly said was about 400 yards away. That's what I say. It's like coming a wave or a wake from a boat. It's particularly good example of the effect that a reasonably high boat wake can make, he said to the newspaper. So I saw this popping all over a lot of the crypto sites, Loch Ness, whatever, and I'm playing it with serious doubt that it's Loch Ness. Here's the video.
What? What's that?
All right, this next one's on the UFO front. This is from Brazil. This is one, okay, again, trying to find like a good article information. Now, I got this from Look Now TV post this. I think probably Third Phase of the Moon might have a video on this, but I definitely got this off of Look Now TV. There's not a lot of story to this. Basically, the source is on this, and this was translated because this was from Brazil. By the time I filmed this, another appeared later, but I was driving my car again, but it was really like what you saw then. Same format, and they were 2 of them. I don't think same objects, but more than 6 miles away in a straight line. That's about all they have written about it, but it's interesting here. Like I said, this is from Brazil, the 4th of, what is this? Was April 21st.
Olha lá, ele reflete o sol, cara. Olha lá, parou.
even though this is like the grainiest, crappiest quality footage, and you can see this is 600 times zoomed in, so that's why it looks so crappy. The original footage is down here in the corner. I have some credibility feel like to this. Like this could be something real flying up there. I doubt somebody would fake it like this when it's zoomed in. I don't think it'd appear like this. I'm not an expert on that, but it had a real credibility to me. Now, Ricky, if he's watching tonight, sent me this on Facebook Messenger. This next scene I'm going to play, and he's like, "Have you seen this cloud?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I hated Versus Bubble, and a year ago, I think researching the World Wide Web of Weird, I came across another weird cloud footage, which I think I have in this video, and it was explained, and it's a gross explanation. But let me show you why, and this is why Ricky was so excited. It is really weird looking. If you haven't seen this footage, it's weird. So it's a floating cloud. Now this one. This one was in America, I think. I think this was in Detroit, if I remember right. But the other video, I think it plays after this. It shows the one I was talking about a year ago was in another, I think, a Middle Eastern country or somewhere. Oh, no, it was Istanbul. Yeah, I think it'll talk about it in the video. But let me go ahead and play this so you can get an idea what we're talking about.
Yeah. Hey, run up on it. Run up on it. Hell no. Run up on it. What the world? Run up on that joint for you? No, I'm not running. You run up on it. It's already fucked with my car, man.
That's
crazy.
The person doesn't do a good job. They don't look up enough.
Yes, it is. Go run up on it. There's a lightning class. I should have to get your ass.
So that was the floating cloud. This next video kind of gives you the explanation what it is, and it's gross. So if you see one of these floating clouds after you watch this video, don't go running towards it. It isn't a happy, lovely cloud come down to meet us. It's not going to have a Care Bear floating inside. This is original. And let's get rid of the dubstep. It's weird. It's kind of floating cloud like that. Let me get.
A weird cloud fell from the sky. It basically shows a cloud of bubbles falling from the sky, falling apart, and some guy sticking his hands in it.
Yeah, don't do that.
Well, it turns out this is actually something very disgusting. It's part of an ongoing environmental disaster in Bangalore, India, where the government has stopped treating the sewage water, and it is now frothing and overflowing the foam from human urine and feces.
Yeah.
The phosphate in
Gross.
the urine turns to foam.
I can't even believe I'm going to ask you this, but I have to.
Forgot that's where it ended. But yeah, it's pretty gross. It's not paranormal. It's sewage, and it's gross. And yeah, you have a bad problem if you start seeing one of those floating around your town. You need to contact your city sewers department because something's not going wrong with their waste treatment. So it's pretty gross. So yeah, this next one is his prerogative. It's Bobby Brown. Yeah, I'm going there. Bobby Brown in this interview here, I think this came, 2020 here. Robin Robinson, I think, is the interviewer. He says he had sex with a ghost, and we want to laugh. It's Bobby Brown, but this is a phenomenon that happens to people. And I think I had an article and I lost it on it that there was some thought that he doesn't say in this interview, but it could have been like Whitney, or it could have been somebody like close to him doing it, or just a ghost in the house. But the thing is, this is a phenomenon. People do have had sex with ghosts. I mean, Gavin Lee Davies I had on the show with his ghost sex violation. People were like, "Oh my God, ghost sex!" So it's not as lurid as it sounds. It's actually, it can be a frightening experience for people, and some people it's not. But here's Bobby Brown talking about it.
What? You had sex with a ghost?
A ghost, yeah.
Come on, man. Tell me about it.
I moved into this house. I bought this mansion in Georgia. So this was a really, really spooky place. But yes, one time I woke up and, yeah, a ghost. I was being mounted by a ghost. I wasn't high.
That was my next question.
I wasn't high.
That was my next question.
Wasn't high at all.
Were you tripping?
Was not tripping.
You've had quite a life.
I've had some crazy situations.
So that's Bobby Brown. It's his prerogative to have sex with ghosts. I don't know. But I thought it was interesting, that he came out with that. It was pretty personal. All right, so next up here is my segment I do once in a while on the World Wide Web of Weird called Weird Science.
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Pride on Weird Science segment. This is gross. I don't know how many people out there are actual fans of the weird sciences like I am, but this one is pretty strange. To me, I've talked about the head transplant, and this scares me. I don't know how many people are fans of Doctor Who, and if you remember the pigmen and the famous Daleks episode they had, I know I'm a geek. But this is what it reminds me of: is human-pig hybrids for organ transplants. This comes from the Express.co.uk. Human-pig hybrids for organ transplants could develop into monsters with our brains. This is totally like from Doctor Who. Scientists trying to grow our body parts inside of pigs to end the shortage of organs needed for transplants could inadvertently make animals with human brains. It has emerged. That's so scary. It was revealed today that the futuristic Dr. Frankenstein-like experiment, scientists in the USA have injected human stem cells into pig embryos to produce human pig embryos known as chimeras. But concerners are already surfaced that playing God in this way could open the door to pigs developing with human intelligence and too much like us. There are fears that mixing pig and human genes in this way could see the animals develop looking like animals but with human brains or boosted intelligence. The research is so controversial that last year the main USA medical research agency, the National Institute of Health, imposed a moratorium on funding for such experiments. Main concern is that human cells might migrate to developing pig brains and make it in some way more human. Pablo Ross, a reproductive biologist who is leading the research, said, "This is unlikely, but it's a key reason why the research is proceeding with such caution." He said, "We think there's very low potential for human brain to grow, but this is something we will be investigating." Mr. Ross, whose team is now from the University of California, Davis says the hybrid should look and behave like normal pigs, except that one organ will be composed of human cells. But amid concerns that the human pig chimeric embryos could develop to much like us, the inch-long embryos are only being allowed to develop inside the sows for 28 days before the pregnancies are terminated and then tissue removed for analysis. In Greek mythology, chimeras were fire-breathing monsters composed of several animals, part lion, goat, and snake. Other teams in the United States have created human-pig chimeric embryos, but none has allowed the fetuses to be born because of fears of the hybrid creation. Waterlow, professor in the Department of Neurosurgery, University of Minnesota, said pigs were an ideal biological incubator for growing human organs and could potentially be used to create not just a pancreas, but hearts, livers, kidneys, lungs, and corneas. He said if the iPS cells were taken from a patient needing a transplant, then there could be injected into a pig embryo, which had the key genes deleted for creating the required organs, such as a liver. He said the organ would be an exact genetic copy of your liver, but a much younger and healthier version. You would not need to take immune suppressive drugs, which carry side effects. I mean, it's great for science. You know, it'd be great that they'd be able to do that. But it definitely creeps everybody out. It creeps me out to think about them growing, people parts inside of pigs, and especially if you were somehow to develop a brain. I think the scary thoughts of it are probably not likely to happen. But we do have to ask ourselves, is this the right thing to do? I think it definitely can't be totally shut down. I don't think we should totally say not to do it, because there's people that need these organs. There's people that wait in line for these things, and then they get them, and the body rejects them. So I can't say I'm totally opposed to it. It scares the heck out of me, and I go to my Doctor Who fears, but I think it's something that needs to be done. Before I get into the last thing I want to talk about, I got one more thing. On Facebook, I posted this because I saw it last minute, and I almost talked about it on the show, but let me get my share screen back up too here. I nixed it, and then I decided last minute when I saw it posted on Facebook again, I'm going to talk about it. Is that you see these ghost photos? I'm going to see if it's still up on mine. Oh, a lot of messages. Clear all these out of the way. Jamie, you able to see the screen? You there, Jamie or Denise?
I can see it. I can see it.
You can see it? Okay.
All right, so I can see it too.
All right, I'm gonna pull this up with the article on it. Hopefully. All right, so this is a ghost picture I keep seeing all over the place, and this is my major issue. That's what it says here. So, mom uncovers her home's frightening history after capturing a ghost in a selfie. This week's nightmare-inducing ghost photo is enough to have me sleeping with the lights on for a while. This comes from Beyond the Grave magazine. After accidentally capturing the frightening image of a ghost in her selfie, a mom discovered that her current home used to be a crematorium. Spooky stuff. Well, I want to know more. A lot of this stuff, this came from Reddit, I believe. And a lot of this stuff, you know, it gets posted to Reddit, and you never hear any more. You never get any more information. It's like, could this just be a picture with a mom and 2 of her kids, and then somebody snags it, posts it, and says it's a ghost pic? You know, I want more information. If this is a real deal, this would be incredible footage. What's your thoughts on this, Denise?
If it's the real deal, yeah, it'd be great. But that kid looks very much similar to the kid she's kissing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. These people snag these pictures. They can do anything with them. You know, this person might not even know their picture's out there. That's what I'm waiting to hear. And then somebody else uses it and says it's a ghost pic. That's the problem the world we live in with Reddit, especially. You know, Reddit's a great thing. I can't figure it out because I guess I'm too old. But I hear the kids talk about all the. Oh, have you looked Reddit? You like the paranormal stuff? You should get on Reddit. I haven't, and I think I'd be very frustrated if I did. If I saw stuff like this, it's like, well, I want to know more. And it's not just Reddit. It's on Facebook and everything. You know, there's so much UFO stuff that I get posted with no stories or anything. It's like, if there's no story, I can't get any more information on. Even if there is a story, I don't even know if I can trust it. But when there's nothing at all, hardly, except for a little bit of a story or no story, I need more. I need more. So it's like, if this is a real picture, anybody knows the real story behind this or has more information on, please email me at oojbland00@yahoo.com. Send me an email, give me the information. I'd love to know more. If this picture is real, it'd be incredible. So they're such teases. And the last thing I need to pull up is a video here, and I wanted to make, you've seen I've been editing my video so I don't have to have the ads and stuff. Well, this last one I didn't get a chance to. Todd was going to make it back on the show tonight. He's in the hospital with his grandmother, so he could not make it. But he posted this to my Facebook Messenger. He's like, "Had you seen this?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "It's pretty weird." And I only have one video on my thing on here. There's a lot of videos on here. It's about an opening ceremony for the world's largest tunnel. Was a bizarre occult ritual. This article comes from Vigilant Citizen. Attended by Europe's most powerful people, the opening ceremony of the Gotthard Base Tunnel in Switzerland was a dark, disturbing, weirdly satanic ritual. Here's a look at another of the celebration of the cult of the elite, measuring over 57 kilometers and costing over 11 billion euros. The Gotthard Base Tunnel is the world's longest and most expensive tunnel project in history. Going through the Swiss Alps, the tunnel took 17 years to complete and is said to be a symbol of European unification in a context of rising nationalism and closing borders. To celebrate the inauguration of this tunnel, an elaborate ceremony was presented in front of the European dignitaries such as Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany, President Franciscus Hollande of France, and Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. While most would expect an upbeat, celebratory ceremony, trust me, it's not, guests were rather treated to a disturbing show orchestrated by German director Volker Hesse, where a man dressed as a goat presided at the strange ritual. And trust me, there's a lot more strangeness to it. Let me pull that up really quick. I'm going to fast forward. I wish I could have got a chance to edit this video before the show. I didn't get to. There's a lot of stuff out here. Fast forward it. Let me see if it'll let me fast forward it.
If you guessed number 2 at the opening of a train tunnel, you would be right. However, we'll see, there's much more going on here. Look, I'm not an expert in satanic ritual, so hopefully the What Is Real channel, RSC, Around Saturn's Eye, will get a hold of the RT footage that I'm using here.
Now, this is the inside ceremony. Before they got inside, and I don't have that footage on here, there was a whole ceremony outside with a goat man presiding over it and everything. This is for the inner people. The ceremony continues. I should have. I wish I had the outside footage. Outside footage. If you guys go look this up, you just type in Swedish satanic ritual for tunnel ceremony, you'll find a ton. But there was this big digital screen, and like workers like filing to their death, like people like on these things like looking like they're falling to death because people died building this, and they're like putting this in the opening show, which was weird. The goat man is weird. This is all really strange. It's definitely setting I think of the church lady from Saturday Night Live. It goes, it must be Satan, or something like that, because I can definitely see why some people feel this was a bit much. Look, she's even nude. I missed that part before. Wow. Oh no, it's a guy. Okay. I thought it was something else. Maybe. I don't know. It gets really funky.
This is just more transgender creepiness.
I have no problem. I have transgender friends. I have no problem with people transgender or anything like that. I'm not like saying that's evil at all. It's the symbolism in this that they say. Here's the goat. Here's one of the goat mans. There's many. It's weird, man.
Okay, yeah. It's important to remember what we're looking at here. That's the president of Germany. That's the president of France speaking. It's a tunnel opening.
There's that screen.
Oh, okay. There's another creepy ceremony after they ride the train. It's not about a tunnel. I'll tell you what it is in a moment.
I don't know if anybody can tell you what it is. I don't know. Somebody went really crazy with production on this. They gave them too big of a budget. I don't know. But it is weird. I can't. I'm one of those people. Notice I don't go over the conspiracy stuff a lot on the show, and I will. I've had some good guests on have talked about it. I don't like to get into much because I've been down that rabbit hole, and it's crazy, filled with accusations of people and craziness. I don't know what to believe, but I have to say this is odd. Denise, have you seen this video until now?
No, and I probably wouldn't have searched it out either.
You wouldn't? No, but it's been popping up lately, of course, on social media. And like I said, I didn't see it until Todd sent me a thing on it. He's like, you got to see this. This is pretty weird. And this is just a little bit of it, guys. There's hours of this, hours and hours of this weird symbolism, and like it looks like something out of Pink Floyd's The Wall at one moment to the Satanist coming out party later on. I don't know. It's weird. Like I said, I'm agnostic. I don't get into all that, but it does bother me just a little bit that this is their train opening ceremony, and all these elite people are there, and they're doing very symbolic like stuff that people say is bad. I don't know. It's weird.
So on 11, there's somebody.
Let me pause that.
The question is why isn't cutting a ribbon good enough?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Cut the ribbon. Done.
Here we're gonna have an opening ceremony. Let's spend $1 million on it. And let's get this really famous director, and let him go wild. Let him go wild and do his thing. And dear God, I didn't know he was into some really stoic imagery. I don't know. It's weird. You got to watch it. You got to see the whole video. I don't know. I couldn't sit through all of it, but you'll see enough. Just fast forward through it. It's long. There's a lot of weirdness. I don't know how to explain it. I see a lot of stuff that people could pick apart and say it's satanic. I definitely can see why they're saying it. I don't know. It's so weird to me.
My neck would be hurting after watching that. Because I'd be going.
Shake your head. Yeah. Like, what is wrong in Sweden? One last thing I want to point out before we get into the show, I want to give a shout out to, remember Joe McCarthy I had on the show, probably it's been about a month ago, from Paranormal Hunters, great investigator. Well, recently he has a YouTube channel, and some a-hole out there decided to make some stupid remarks on his YouTube. I'm going to say you're an idiot. Whoever did that, you're an idiot, because Joe's a great guy, great investigator, and I know he's got good things, big things coming, and maybe even a job in the working in the paranormal field. I won't say more. I'll let him give that away. But Joe's a really good investigator. Anybody that picks on him should be ashamed of yourself. So I don't get into drama too much, but I wanted to say that because Joe's a really great guy, and we'll definitely have him on the show again. So Denise, let's get to you. I'm going to also, just so we get in, I am opening up the Skype line now. If anybody does want to call in, you just remember, we're talking. Let us finish talking. We won't hear you. You'll hear us. When I cue you in and I call on you, then we're hearing you. So all right. So Denise, tell people, I have probably new viewers that haven't seen you before. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am one of the main tour guides for the Sally House in Atchison, Kansas. I got to take the Ghost Adventures guys on their tour of the Sally House, and it was interesting, to say the least. I've been doing tours at the Sally House. This will be my 5th year, and we have so much fun meeting all the people and everything, but I spend all my time telling people the real history of the house, not anything about the 3 urban legends that go along with the house. I cannot perpetuate an urban legend.
That's what
That's one
about you. When you came on the show before, what I really respect about you, that you really cut down to what you wanted to know, what the real truth to the Sally House was. And I think that's, you could have just gone with the urban legends like a lot of tour guides do and just go with it, and that's it. But you really dug deep to find out as much truth about the house as you could.
I did, and the thing is not only did I, like you were saying earlier, we were, I've talked to the Pickmans, and they did a lot of research as well. So a lot of the stuff that I've researched has helped them, and vice versa. She got me on the right path. She didn't even know that she did, Deb Pickman. She had no clue that she got me on the right path. But there's some of the things that I tell people that she didn't know about, and I get a lot of props from Tony and Deb for standing up for what they experienced in the house and making sure people know, hey, they're telling the truth. Whatever happened to them really did happen, and I'm a witness to all the scratching that I have received in that house. I've been scratched at least 8 times. I've been bruised by something in places that I can't bruise myself very easily. I don't know how many times. I've been pushed. My hair's been pulled. I've had a folding chair thrown at me 8 feet across the room. I've had entities yell at me, laugh at me, point at me. But, we all point and laugh. So, but then there's other things, like I was telling you earlier that we're volunteers at the McPike Mansion as well. And so when they have their campouts every year, Ron and I drive 350 miles out there to help with the campout. And that's
is that Alton, Illinois?
Alton, Illinois. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we travel. I mean, we love to travel, so we try to hit as many haunted locations as we possibly can on every trip. And this time we hit 3 haunted distilleries, the Hatfields and McCoy graveyard in Pikeville, Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Let's see, what else?
I'm interested, though. You talk about the Hatfields and McCoys, the cemetery. So there's a cemetery, but all the different 2 rival families in a graveyard together?
Yep. Not all of them.
No.
In Pike County, the McCoys that's where they lived. And over in West Virginia is where the Hatfields lived. Well, there are 2 Hatfields buried in the cemetery with the McCoys. Wow. And most of the McCoys are buried on top of this mountain. And what's really interesting about the cemetery is not that the Hatfields and McCoys are buried there together. It's that it was the first integrated cemetery in Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
And there are still 80 African Americans that were slaves that are buried there that have not been identified. So there's 500 graves, and 80 have not been identified yet. So
well, there's one place people can come to peace together is in a graveyard. Exactly.
Yeah, you can find peace. But what's amazing about this graveyard is, I told my husband, I said, I cannot guarantee you're not walking on the dead. You can tell the difference between graveyards then and now. I'm walking through the graveyard, and there's an indent. You can see where the body had been buried, and they were buried in boxes, and they disintegrated. So now there's this,
lump,
half a foot
or it's like a
indent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that right there in itself is very, very strange. And I've been to graveyards many times where there's been pennies and nickels and quarters and dimes left on the stones. But for the McCoys, there were tons. There were tons of change left on their gravestones. So, there are facts that go along with that. If you leave a penny, you didn't know them. But you came. If you left a nickel, you knew them through somebody. If you left a dime, you knew them well. And if you left a quarter or more, you were family. And so there were quite a few quarters up there. But they do have, in Pike County, they have Hillbilly Days, which is a celebration of the Hatfields and McCoy feud coming to an end. So I know enough to be dangerous. That's it.
Did you guys do any you try to do any EVP recording there or anything like that?
There was too much noise.
It's hard. Yeah, that's what I figured.
On one side of the hospital, and an elementary school and a fire department, and on the other side is a dairy diner with a really loud speaker.
Yeah, so I've never been a fan of doing cemeteries. I like to go and look. I like to go to them, but actually investigating them, I don't rarely ever do it, because one, the outside factor, contamination, well, it makes any evidence, throws out, so. But I love going to see them. I'd love to see that.
It's in the middle of town. What can you do? You've got all this traffic going by, and I mean, you have to go up the side of a mountain to get there. I don't know how they got these people buried up there. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that they had just blown up the road, blown up all the crap so they could put it in the roads, because there's no way I could see anybody carrying a casket up these steps that are, very steep. I mean, and there's little places to sit. It's that bad. You got a little seat on one level. On the next level, it's bigger, so you can lay down and take a nap because you're exhausted. It's like walking up a lighthouse. It's so bad. But I was happy to say, hey, I finally did it. After 28 years of going to this town, I finally went. So
that's awesome. Definitely somewhere I would go.
Yeah, and I mean, I had people tell me in the past, hey, this place is haunted and this and that, and I could see that. I mean, I could see that it could be haunted with Hatfields and McCoys probably still fighting, But other than that, or even the unknown slaves that are buried there.
That's what I was going to say.
Be identified, and there are probably tons of other stories that we don't even know, because many of these graves are not identified with markers anymore. People may know that they're buried there, but a lot of them just had cinder blocks on them, or the gravestones are so weathered that you can't read who it is. So it was very sad to see that, because the lady at University of Pikeville, she was a sociology teacher. She retired, and that was her project every year, was to go up there and clean up the...
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't awful. I'm going to tell you that. It wasn't awful. It's just sad seeing these stones that are toppled over or broken or non-existent. That was the sad part there. But, if you decide to do the Hatfields and McCoy tour, there's a driving tour that you can do between Pike County and Williamson, West Virginia.
Yeah.
That's neat. There's the hanging right there on the University of Pikeville campus. There is there used to be a hanging tree. So one of the first deaths in the Hatfields and McCoy feud was right there. I mean, let's see, how far is that? Maybe 500 yards away from the cemetery. So there's all kinds of places you could go. I don't think I'm that interested. It's just because it was in Pike County and I was there, and because I've been spending a lot of time there lately. So, but it's kind of neat when you go back and go, well, why were these people fighting anyway? Who knows? Well, there's all kinds of stories.
Yeah, people heard the names. They don't know much about it. I know a little bit about it, but I'm definitely not an expert at all on that.
And a lot of it's urban legend. And
True.
That's the thing. How much of it is real? And that goes back to, all of the stuff that we all love. We all love the ghost hunt. How much of the stuff that we are talking about are urban legend, and how much of it is truth? And that's where I try to stay, is in that realm of truth, so that if I find something, most people aren't going to question me, because I'm not sitting there and making it huge, making something real huge, or telling, perpetuating a lie.
Right.
If I don't know, I'm going to tell you, I don't know. But I'll find out. But you're the same way, Jason.
Yeah. No, exactly. I want to know the truth, not the urban legend. And before you were on the show, we were talking about this before the show, but before, or since the last time you've been on the show, I should say, you've now met Deborah and Tony Pickman, the original couple that lived in the home. For some of you, or if I'm 37, for some of you, if you remember back in the day, the old show Sightings coming on, and this is the show that ingrained in my memory, if shaped my imagination when it comes to the paranormal, was the Harttown Ghost, or what was it called? Something like that. It was
the Hartland Ghost.
Yeah, and it was about the Sally House. And Deborah and Tony Pickman, they were anonymous during that episode.
Right.
Yeah, and but live on camera, you'd see him get scratched. Well, they had the camera on him, hasn't moved, and you'd see the scratch come on him. I mean, to me, that was like, you've seen a lot. I've seen a lot In Search Of, and a lot of the other shows, and even other sighting shows, and they always talk about the afterwards of the paranormal. That was like one of the first shows where it seems like it's happening on the show. They're showing you right there. Their cameramen are picking up. To me, it was before Ghost Hunters ever was on air. So this is like our first look into a paranormal team investigating a really active house, a super active paranormal activity. So that ingrained in me, and so that to me, that's one of the beginnings of my molding in the paranormal was that episode. So let's dispel a little bit. Let's talk. You said there's 3 main urban legends to the Sallie House. Now I know you don't like to talk about them, but we should mention them. Talk about which ones are the urban legends. So let's get into that a little bit, Denise.
Okay, well, the first thing is that sightings was done in 1993 and 1994. So that kind of gives everybody a time frame of when this happened. So Deb and Tony Pickman lived in the house from New Year's Eve 1992. So basically the first day of 1993 to July of 1994. So only 18 months. And so that's part of the history that people need to understand. This, when they wrote their book, they're only talking about an 18-month period. So there's a whole lot of stuff that happens in that time. But throughout all the different things that have happened, there's one story about the Sallie House that is the most widely circulated. And that is one that a doctor lived in the house, and that a lady knocked on the door in the middle of the night with her sick child, and the doctor needed to operate on her instantly because she had a bad appendix. So, and apparently the doctor did not know what in the hell he was doing, or he was inept, he was drunk, who knows in the story how it goes, but apparently he was an idiot in the story because he didn't have enough ether to put her under. So he got her to sleep, but she woke up in the middle of the surgery, and when she woke up, she saw this man cutting on her, and she saw him, she got up off the table, and she died because her insides fell out, and she died hating men.
The pure soundings of an urban legend. It's as gross and as scary as possible in your mind.
Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, the second one is a made-for-TV movie that was called The Heartland Ghost, and it was a movie created for sightings. And according to the Pickmans, what happened to the couple in the movie is very similar to what happened to them. They say that that's the truest portrayal of what happened to them while they were living in the house. But the part of it that they talk about that a lot of people believe is that a doctor lived in the house, and his wife had an affair with a slave and got pregnant. Well, the doctor didn't know it wasn't his kid, of course, until the baby was born, because this is in the late 1900s, supposedly 1905, 1906. So he had no clue that his wife had been screwing around on him. Baby was born, threw the baby out in the snow, and it died. Okay, so that's one of them, which is kind of ridiculous as well. Yeah. And I'll tell you all the reasons why later. Okay, and the third one is from a haunting. Somehow, some way, a haunting came up with their story that a doctor lived in the house, and he was not married, but he had a housekeeper that was Native, or not Native American, was African American, and they had a love child together. So they had a mulatto child, and the child got sick, and when she was about 7 years old, and she ended up dying from pneumonia in the house. Okay, so those are the 3 urban legends. And as with all urban legends, part of it is true. A doctor did live in that house. Thing is, doctor moved out in 1905, prior to anything that could have happened with all this. There was also, at the time that this was supposed to have happened, the doctor lived in the house with his wife, who was pregnant at the time, with his mother, his sister, and his sister's husband. You got 5 adults in that house. So if a lady was to knock on the door to bring her child in, there would have been at least 5 witnesses, including the lady. Okay, doctor wouldn't have been a witness, he'd have just been there. So
Right.
my question to most people is, how many people can keep a secret when more than one
Right.
person knows it? None, because somebody's always going to tell. So in 1913, this doctor, his name is Dr. Charles Finney, ran for mayor. And, well, if you had skeletons in your closet, when you run for
Right.
political office, isn't that when it all shows up?
Now, isn't he the same Dr. Finney, though, that was the ice skater?
But he wasn't a doctor then. He didn't
No.
become a doctor until 1894. So he was
But-
not. He was just a young guy sowing his oats and having a good time.
But he was an ice skater who, and ahead of his time, and I give him a lot of credit, dressed up as a woman and ice skated, right? Like he had a whole character. It was like the beginning of the drag scene, kind of, you know. And I have friends that do drag, so I thought this guy's kind of ahead of his time. I kind of like the guy, you know. So it's hard for you to imagine. I don't have the picture. We posted the picture on the previous time you were on this episode of him. We had, but he seemed like looks like, you know, you just get a feeling like the nice old man, you know, like a grandpa.
Yeah, and he would ice skate under the name of Ms. Colby from Baltimore. And one of the things that I find unusual is I'm from Baltimore, so why am I drawn to the house? That's the next thing, you know, why am I drawn? But, you know, so he was elected mayor in 1913. You got to think about this. We all know right now, watching the election going on, there's mudslinging going on everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not enough in some cases. Maybe there should be less. Who knows? I don't care anymore. We're not going to get political.
No.
But at the time, that's what, I mean, we all know for a fact that mudslinging occurs. Okay, so he was elected mayor, and he was actually asked to step down from being mayor because during Prohibition, he was providing alcohol, mostly beer, to the Eagles Club. The key thing here is he was providing beer. Well, his wife, Louise Seibold Finney, was the daughter of brewers. They owned the Seibold Brewing Company. So he had access to the beer. So why not? So he
More
was
reason
asked
to like the
step
guy.
down for providing beer. And but then in 1916 he was asked to run for mayor again, and he declined. So, you know, kind of things that happen.
Not likely to be the doctor who either threw a baby out a window into the snow. Not likely to be the doctor who ripped open a young girl and didn't have enough ether, you know, for an appendicitis. It just doesn't add up to the story. I mean, right away you can feel that and tell that. Uh-oh. We lost your audio.
The main thing is that the house is haunted.
Oh, yeah.
Why? No one has a clue why. And the thing is Dr. Finney moved out of the house, like I said, 1905. He moved into the house next door, which was, instead of 508, it was 510. And he lived there until 1939. Well, in the Sally house, who lived there the longest? Well, the person who lived there the longest was Agnes Finney, his sister. She lived there from the time that the house was built till the day she died in October of 1939. So she lived there for 72 years. She's there. It's her house. You know, when it comes right down to it, doesn't matter who else lived there. She's the one that lived there the longest. And we all know how that goes. Live there the longest is more than likely your house. There are multiple spirits there. There were 5 deaths in the house. And see, since the last time I talked to you, found out that there was 5 deaths in the house and 4 funerals. And so the first death was M.C. Finney. He's the guy who built the house. And he died in 1872. He didn't even get to live in the house a year. And less than 15 months later, his father-in-law, who was living there as well, he died in the house. A couple months later, his son, Richard Edwin Finney, that his wife, Kate Finney, was pregnant with when MC died as well. He was 15 to 18 months old. These 3 funerals were all held in the living room at the Sally house. Okay? There was not another funeral in the house until later on, and it was James Finney. He actually lived in 504 on the other side of the house. So we've got all 3 of these houses in the mix. He lived in the house next door, but because he was a Finney, they held his funeral in the house as well, but he didn't die there.
Right.
The next death in the house was William True. That was Agnes Finney True's husband. They'd only been married 5 years, and they had no children, and they had his funeral there in the house as well. But that's all for the funerals. Well, the last one to die in the house was Agnes Finney. And like I said, that was in 1939. And all these deaths were all natural. Not one of them was questionable in any way. And another spirit that roams the house died in 510, and that's Kate Finney. She tends to roam both houses. Nobody will talk to us over at 510 about the stuff over there.
Yeah.
Well, we won't go over and knock on the door. You know, that's not appropriate.
Right.
They want it. They know who we are when we come. You know, they know that we're doing these tours. If they really want to come out and talk to us, they will. You know, you gotta have to, you know, respect their privacy, which is the reason why we hadn't met Deb and Tony Pickman, because we were respecting their privacy. And I figured, you know, Deb and I were friends on Facebook. If she really wanted to talk with me, you know, she'd reach out. And so one day I just said, oh, the hell with this. I'm going to ask her if she wants to be on my show. And I asked, and she said yes. And at the same time, she invited us to her house to visit with her. And so we visited with her and Tony, and the following week after we visited with them, we went on an investigation with them. And
that's awesome.
And we talked a lot about their time at the Sally House and their time since. And we'll leave that for them to talk with you about, because I think that that's more their story. My part of the story is I was so excited I got to meet them.
I know, that's so awesome.
And they signed my book. They signed my book.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now your book, go hold that up for people to see. See, move it over a little bit. I'm gonna light on you. So this is the book. You can find this, The Sally House, A Haunting, A True Story. Now people can is there an e-version of this book too?
I don't know. I do know that you can get it from thesallyhouse.com. And if you order it from them, they will autograph your book for you, and you get some extra stuff with it.
That's awesome.
I guarantee your signature won't be as good as mine. I like mine. And you can also buy it, like Deb says, you can get it used on Amazon and stuff. But I am going to tell you that if you really want it to be personalized and be yours, get it from sallyhouse.com. If you go to Atchison, you can get it. You can pick a copy up at the Atchison Chamber of Commerce, and you can bring it to the house. And if you want me to, I'll sign it. Because I've had people ask me to sign their stuff.
If I get that book, yeah, I do want you to sign it. So.
Well, you know, I've had some of your listeners ask me to sign a picture for them. Katrina Cooper came out to see me at the Sally House back in March, and Rhodey said, I need for her to sign, you need to take a picture of Denise and she has to sign it. So,
that sounds like Rhodey.
Yeah, so I signed it. I signed Katrina's phone, you know, because she has a note. So I signed it and sent that back, and then Rhodey's coming to visit me in September. I'm pretty sure you guys already knew that, because she's been telling everybody. September 17th. So I am looking forward to meeting her as well. And but that's
I still haven't met Rhodey. I got to meet Rhodey myself.
Oh, she's going to be a hoot.
I know.
She is just so animated.
Oh, I know. And feisty. She's somebody who wants the truth, too. She usually knows more about my guests than I do before they come on the show. Half the time.
He does investigate your guests, my guests, and I think I love it. I love
do too.
Someone in the chat room that knows what they're talking about. And the other thing is, really glad that Rhodey has made friends with my mother. You know, because I've been spending a lot of time with my mom, and I've gotten her involved into watching and listening to the different shows that I do, and just want people to be aware. You know, my mom has COPD, and she's dying. She is an end-stage COPD, and so I am spending a lot of my time talking about COPD and other stuff. So that's one of the things that's really important to me, is for people to know that if I can get one person to quit smoking, it will make me extremely happy.
You see the toothpick here? I haven't had a cigarette in 3 years, but I'm trying to quit the vapor cigarette now, so that's why I got that. My mom, I was the stupidest smoker alive because my mom was a respiratory therapist. I used to go with her to her home visits to people who had COPD. I saw people dying from it, and I still ended up smoking. So I called myself the stupidest smoker there was, because I knew exactly how you go out in the end. I saw it. My mom let me see it as a child to try to stop me. It still didn't stop me. Isn't that crazy? Still didn't stop me from doing it. I had a weird phase in my teenage life where I was an idiot and started, and it was the worst mistake I ever made in my life. And I knew it the whole time I was doing. I just in that teenager, I don't give a crap phase. F the world kind of deal.
Well, you're indestructible. And
I'm totally a different person now. I'm totally paranoid and scared of everything.
It's a problem. It's a whole different
exactly.
See, in my case, I've never smoked. My worst thing is Diet Coke. And I don't drink Diet Coke. I've been free of Diet Coke now for 2 years. But I just want to educate people on what it can do. It's never too late to quit. And I know it's hard, but once you're diagnosed with, stage 4 or end stage COPD, there's no need in quitting anymore. It's not going to help. The withdrawal can kill you. And COPD won't kill you. It's all the other stuff that goes with it. And that just scares me. My mom's not old. My mom is not old at all. So, if I can just get a couple people to listen and know, hey, I got to stop doing this. My niece quit. She's been a week smoke-free. That's great, We have some other radio show hosts in the paranormal that have COPD, and they're doing a benefit.
Art Bell does.
This is Roger Belt.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing an event, and I forgot exactly which hospital, but it's a paranormal benefit. So I'll share it with you later on. But
definitely.
I think that's a good thing just to educate, because we have enough ghosts to investigate. Do we have to investigate the ones that we don't want to lose? I don't want to lose. I don't want to go investigate her. I don't want other people investigating her.
No.
I want to keep alive forever. Ain't gonna happen. But that's the denial part of me. But I will tell you, the first time I've talked about her, that I didn't cry.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm sorry. I know how it is with going through it with losing my grandmother 2 years ago, and my mom going through it, being there for her mom, with Alzheimer's and dying slowly. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to deal with, and it takes a lot of your time up. A lot of your time spent with that. Not even when you're with her, your mind's there, because that's how it was for my mom. And it's still, even a couple years later, it's hard.
It is. And I'm driving 800 miles every couple months just to go see her. So. Oh wow. I know. So, but let's get on a happier subject.
We'll get on a happier subject. But sometimes this is my show though. It changes gears. So now we're talking about the Sally House and some of the urban legends. What is any truth? Like what the fact that I know Tony Pickman saw the little girl ghost. And that experience. Is there any reality that it could be? Oh, I'll bring up this Peter James, who is somebody Peter James is somebody I respected as a kid, seeing all the sightings episodes. He made some, he walked in the house and he supposedly was never told that it was Sally. Nobody told him any information. He called out the name Sally in that house. So if he was legit and that was a real thing, that's incredible. But have we ever found any real Sally?
The only Sally that we have come across has been, I was looking to see if I could find the picture in the book. The only Sally we've come across has been a 30-year-old Native American or African American woman who had given birth to multiple children, and only 2 of them made it to adulthood. And she, about a week before they say that this bad appendectomy thing gone wrong, that died in 1905. Her name is Sally Isabel Hall, and her baby died, and then a week later she dies. And that's the only one we can find. And Dr. Finney did deliver a lot of babies. I mean, he delivered. That's how he won the election.
Right.
Was because he was the guy that was delivering half the babies in town. So he was recognized for that, for being the baby doctor. So is it possible that he was her doctor? Her obituary is kind of weird. It has her living at an alley a block away from the Sally house, but it also has her living 8 blocks away on First Street down by the college. So it's like, which one's right? We always look at the newspaper to get the facts from back then, but we have 2 different obituaries, so which one's right?
But is it possible? I mean, is it possible? I mean, they made some stretches on all these shows have talked about the Sally house, but is it possible that she had some connection to Finney, and that the spirit of Sally, the little girl, is somehow that child that was never born? Because I had an experience through my younger years of seeing my sister who was unborn, and she was a full little girl even though she was never born. So I don't know if that's a possibility of the case, for him seeing a little girl. I don't know. It's
what it could be.
So much still to know.
MC Finney and Kate Finney had 5 children, and we only ever talk about 4. Mamie Finney died before they even got there. So Mamie Finney could be what he's seeing. It's quite
but she
possible.
didn't die in the house. She didn't die in the house. She died before that.
Been following the family.
Right.
So
no, totally.
That's where her family settled. That's where she feels at home. So it's quite possibly could be her. It could also go back to the fact that the house has a portal in it, and it could be any spirit from anywhere that could be there. And her name is Sally. It could also be that Sally's a nickname, because Sally would be a nickname for Margaret, for Betsy, for almost any name, if you think about it, because Sally was a very common nickname back in the day. So we don't know. And so all we can do is grasp at straws. Some people say that she's a mulatto child because, what Tony saw, he thought she was mulatto.
That's right.
But the thing is, there's no proof. There's all kinds of things that could be there. He is a doctor. What if he did really have an affair and had a baby? He's probably the guy that could hide.
True.
Not get a birth certificate and things like that. But that's a really long stretch. How can you live in houses this close together and the neighbors not know that this is your kid? That that these 2 people aren't sleeping together, or together more often than they should be.
Yeah, you wouldn't win mayor. That's what yeah.
Right. And knowing the facts that he lived in this house with his mother, his sister, her husband, and then his own wife, it's highly unlikely. But that's not to say that he didn't tap into something before he got married. That he shouldn't have. There's no proof that he didn't have illegitimate children prior to this, but there's no proof. That's the thing. We can sit here and we can make up stories all night. We've been making up stories about the house behind us being haunted.
You can speculate all the time. You can speculate. Your imagination can go wild on these things. It could be this, but what it comes down to is what facts we have. And it would have been incredible to have found like a real little girl, Sally, with a death certificate that died in that house to match what their experiences were and what Peter James' experience was. And there was a former resident, too, I remember in the episode, there was a former resident before the Pickmans that said her kid had talked to Sally, correct? I mean, it was in that episode. I don't know how true that was.
They had, a lady said that she lived in the house and their daughter had an imaginary friend named Sally. But they never talked about how her name was spelled. But Sally, at that time, was a very common name for all of our dolls.
True. I didn't think about that.
So, that's the thing. I mean, and even on Sesame Street there was a Sally. And if this girl was that, in that age frame, she might have liked the little Sally character, the little puppet. So, we have to look at things.
Strange. It happens at both houses, though. Even with that, it is weird.
It is. But like I said, since these people haven't come forward since, it makes you wonder how valid it is. I ran into some people who lived in the house after the Pickmans, and they said they never had anything happen.
And that's like that's like the Amityville deal. I've listened to the Art Bell interviews with forgetting his name from the Amityville Horror, the real person. Totally drawn a blank. Oh, dang it. I forgot the name of the guy. But the original person went through the whole, and theirs was like a 30-day experience at the Amityville Horror, as they call it, and they got out. But I've heard his story. I've heard, the wife's story. I've seen them talk. They seem like legit people. I didn't really make that much money off of it. And, yeah, there's the lawyer that came out and said, oh, they were in it for the money. I don't know. I've always been in the air about the Amityville. But the truth of it now is people living in it, and it's up for sale again, but people have been living for years in that house afterwards, and nothing's happened. Now, does that mean nothing ever happened there? The people that lived in the Amityville Horror House, their children have come out to say it's not as dramatic as the movies have made it out, or even what my parents probably even said in the book, but something was there. We definitely had experiences. So it makes you wonder. We have I think all the psychics that have gone into the Amityville Horror or the Sally House.
Right.
How many, before those people moved in after the Pickmans, there was a whole TV crew and 2 different psychics that were in there. I mean, they had I can't think of his name. They had one of the guys from the Entity case that was investigating that place on the Sighting show. I mean, a lot of people come in there with a lot of expertise. Who's to say they didn't clear some of what was going on out, unintentionally even, by their actions of being there?
There's been one valid clearing on the house, and that was done by Joe Sertone when they were in there doing a show called Dark Hauntings. They were doing a pilot for a new show, and what they were going to do is the show was based on Christian beliefs that we could get rid of all these things, and all they wanted to do was help the Pickmans to live a normal life and get rid of this awful spirit that was hurting all these people. And they went in there and they did the clearing, a cleansing, and they did a binding. Lasted 3 months. That was it. And then after that, Tony was being attacked again. Anytime anybody goes in that house and provokes, their poor family is sitting there watching.
I remember from the. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that on the show. Like, they seemed to start doing a little bit of provoking in the show. It wasn't even like, the Zach Baggins provoke. It was very mild, and he was getting scratched, and considerably, felt like he was, had trouble breathing, so. It makes you wonder, they brought up more than once, I remember in the Sightings episode, about it being psychokinesis, too, or a little mixture of both, a little bit of psychokinesis, a little bit of paranormal activity from spirits.
I have to say that from what I've seen, it just happens. I've never seen anything like this in my life, up close and personal, okay? I'm not going to tell you what I saw, but what I saw with Tony, it's real. When we were investigating together, we both were attacked, and we were not at the Sally House. Okay? We were at the Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri. I got attacked in one room, and he got attacked in another room. And the lady there said, I don't know if I should allow the people from the Sally House to come back to my castle.
Well,
because it wasn't the first time I'd been attacked there.
Well, it brings up the question about Tony, because I've always had the theory, like you said, these people lived in the house after the Pickmans and nothing happened. I always believe the other element to a haunting is living people, that certain people are open doorways when they enter into these houses. They just their presence there opens a doorway. It's like a combo. This person's energy with this energy of the house, and bam, things go wild. But you add somebody else, nothing happens. They could sleep there all night long. Nothing's going to happen to them. They don't believe it, and blah, blah, blah. Not to say, I don't think Tony believed any of this until it happened. You can be a believer or not. It's just something in your energy, something in your field, or something that you are just like the Carol Ann and the poltergeist. You walk into the house and stuff starts happening. It could be what Tony is.
It could be the perfect storm. And so, but one of the things I did want to say, only one family lived in there that didn't have anything happen.
True.
Most of those families that lived in there, they didn't stay more than, they were there maybe 30 days, maybe 3 months. Then the last lady that lived there, she was not. She moved in that house with a purpose, and that purpose was she's the one that decided that she wanted to Let's go with she's not agnostic, and she would have loved that video that you were sharing with the demonic stuff on it.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
I don't know what she was doing in there, but there had been animal bones found in the hole in the basement. There was a pentagram.
And she was in there after the Pickmans, right?
After the Pickmans, so she already knew. See, because in 1995 they started doing the haunted tours in Atchison.
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, their most haunted house in Atchison is the Sally House.
Of course.
It's not the most haunted house there, but it is the one that's most recognized. And so when people would come by, the Sally House, here it is, things like that. We don't give out the address on the trolley. We don't tell anybody where the what the address is or things like that. But but of course I'm going to tell you the address of some other place in a little while. And that's one of the things that people don't get is that she already knew the history of this house, that there was already stuff happening there. So she wanted to tap into that energy.
Yeah.
And so she knew what she was getting herself into. So, and nobody knows where this woman is now. Okay? We don't know if she's alive yet, where she moved, nothing. And of course nowadays we can't use the white pages because everybody's using their cell phone for everything.
Yeah.
So we can't find her.
It's not like she would probably even talk to you if she's not coming out to talk about it. But it'd be interesting to know what she did when she was there. But it sounds like you found evidence that she was definitely into the dark arts in a way. She wanted to bring out the dark side of things.
There's enough evidence from people who witnessed this and the owner who owned the house when he kicked her out. Do I feel that I know it 100%? No. But I do feel 95% that this is right. So that's the only place I can go. But if you want to really know a lot more about the psychics that have been in the house, one of them, Amy Allen was there.
Oh, I love her.
I don't know what she found.
I'd be interested to know.
Robbie Thomas has been there. He did a movie called The Sally House.
Yeah.
If you ignore that first part with the botched appendectomy part, it's pretty good. It's really good. I've talked to him, and he swears up and down. He goes, I never saw a little girl. He goes, I saw all kinds of other spirits. He goes, but I never saw a little girl. And I said, well, that's good. So he says basically that if there's the dark entity in that house is not Sally. So Christopher Moon from Ghost University, him and his mother, Paulette Huff, have been there multiple times up until about 6 years ago. And he told me he never saw a girl there either, that the dark entity is not a little girl. Let's see, who else has gone there? Well, we already know about Peter James. And Barbara Connor was the first psychic that went there, and she's the one that said that there was a little girl in the house, and her name was Sally. And I have a whole list of these, but these are the ones that I'm remembering off the top of my head right now. So it's just really interesting that there's so many people who have gone there, and this handful has seen this little girl, and this handful hasn't. So my tiebreaker is Amy Allen. Once I get Amy Allen's age, then I'll know.
Well, I've always my thing is I've always wondered about Peter James. I don't want to speak ill of the dead. He passed away in 2007, and he transformed my imagination as a child with all the stuff he did on sightings. Like the other one I remember is the Queen Mary, which is where Peter James pretty much got his start. Right. He was he got really interested in paranormal because of the Queen Mary, and he got involved with the tours and stuff, and I guess he had this ability. And there's that famous scene where he's talking to a little spirit boy ghost down under the pool and under the under part of the ship, and you hear the voice of the boy in the episode, and I like set chills down my spine when I was a kid and I saw that. But you wonder, don't ever put anything past Hollywood producers to pull something on us on a show. I'm not saying Peter James wasn't legit, but we have to wonder what was going on with the Hollywood producers and stuff on sightings on some of the stuff that was seen. And with Peter James, we got to remember all we have to go by is their word that they never told Peter James anything about the house or where he was going. And I don't want to accuse a man who's passed away of being a fake or a fraud or anything. I don't know. But as a reasonable researcher and investigator, it's questions I have to ask. I feel that way.
We have to be somewhat skeptical of stuff that we didn't witness personally.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, we're going to be swallowing everything that's fed to us, hook, line, and sinker. And so I can't swallow everything that they tell me. But I will say that I watched the same sighting you did. I was a little bit older. I was probably a lot more skeptical than you were the first time.
I was a kid. Give me more.
Me, on the other hand, I'm sitting there I already have my third kid, and sitting there going, "Oh, that's interesting," and off I go. But when he walked into that house and he walked into the dining room and he goes, "There's a portal in that corner." Okay, and I'm telling you, that's not the basement, okay? Not the basement. In the dining room on the main floor. So what does that tell you? It tells you that these people that are sitting there pointing to that hole in the basement and going, "Hey, that's the portal." Well, it might be part of it, but the main part of that portal is in that dining room upstairs.
But that portal was made later on because of that woman, though, right? You think because after the Pickmans, it was there before? Oh, okay.
Because you remember, she probably watched the same sightings you did.
Yeah, true.
And this came from that actual show. Was it on the parts that you saw? I don't know. Because I know that the 5 parts that we get to see on that show, on the YouTube, they seem a little bit choppy to me.
It was, yeah. It wasn't like they took all their different segments and put it all in one. I got it for people who want to watch it. I have it on my YouTube tonight. I think it's public list. I have it on my Tonight Show. I do have that original sightings episode YouTube up there. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's interesting, and then you can see what shaped my childhood paranormal mind and imagination in that episode. But I watched it today, brought back so many memories, and I watched a couple more sightings after watching it, just to remember. But like I said, I've heard the rumors about paranormal shows nowadays. You definitely can't put it past them back in the 90s, pulling something producer wise, like, hey, let it slip to Peter James, the name's Sally. Let's just let him roll with it. I don't think that's what happened. I don't know what happened. But it's a possibility. I know it is. I know that good ratings, that's money, and there's a motive. It's possible.
I don't think it would have mattered, period, what name he had come up with. I don't think it would have mattered. I think the fact that this was happening live on TV. There was no, hold on a second, we got to get this scene set up right, or this, that, or the other. It's just like, all you're hearing is this camera, and this camera is all taping at the same time, and they're in the control room picking which camera we're going to see. That's the only thing that's being orchestrated at that point in time. Yeah. That we're sitting there and we're watching these scratch marks show up on Tony's arm, on his stomach, on his back.
That was the most incredible thing of it all, though. That's undeniable. That, to me, was not faked. There's no way. Because you could see it. That's what shaped my mind. Like, this is real. This is real. This isn't fake. Like, I'm saying the Peter James thing I've always been skeptical of, and I like Peter James, but I'm always skeptical of mediums with Hollywood and with producers, all they have to do is find the right person who wants to go along with it, and they can feed them all the information they want, and they can go in and do it. I don't know. I don't know unless I'm the investigator there. That's just how I feel, and it's not an accusation towards the late Peter James or anything. But with him, with Pickmans, they have nothing to gain from it, and here he is, literally getting scratched right in front of us on TV. Like I said, it molded my imagination for sure.
Well,
again, I want to just real quick. I want to remind people you can call into the show if you have any questions for Denise. It's OOJ Bland at that's the ID for Skype. Just send me a message on or send me a friend request on there, friend request, contact request, and just call in. And no video, it'll just be your audio. And if you just want to use your first name, that's just fine. But go ahead. Sorry about that, Denise.
So here in the book, in chapter 18, as you can see, Peter James visits. And if you read that first line there, it says sightings third visit. So he didn't even come to the third visit. So, if he had watched any of the other sightings, he already would have known.
Right.
Heartland ghosts. You know, so, but of course we on the other hand don't know that. But there's a whole section in here on Peter James, and there's also multiple you know, parts where they talk about sightings coming in, and like I said, it's just amazing all the things that transpired during that 18-month period that shaped the paranormal, because this is in 1994. You know, how many shows did we have? We had what, Ghost Stories?
Nothing. Barely anything. And they were all after the fact. Mm-hmm. They're all after the fact of what happened. This was happening live for people. This is before Ghost Hunters, you know, taps and all that. This was, to me, the beginning of that was that episode. It is one of the most key episodes in the paranormal TV, in my opinion. Oh yeah, for sure.
It is. And the thing is, you know, like I said, there were some other shows out there, but they were all urban legend. Like, remember when Ghost Adventures went to San Antonio and they wanted to go over the railroad tracks, where the children supposedly got killed in a school bus accident by a train. Okay, well, they talked about that in this video that we had called Ghost Stories, and it was done by Peter McNew from, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I used to watch it, from the Avengers, not the superhero one.
I've seen this. No, I know what you mean. Yes, I know Peter McNew, and he was also in James Bond, View to a Kill. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I've seen it.
I used to watch Avengers when I was a kid. And so he did this show on that. And, you know, I had all 8 videotapes or 6 videotapes. And, you know, we watched these. And, you know, we ate it up back then.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was so little out there that you could find on ghosts. Not that we wanted to get into ghost hunting or anything like that, but we wanted to hear about the paranormal. Hell, they didn't call it paranormal then. It was just ghosts or
mysteries unexplained.
Yeah, you know, and things like that. And, you know, you're thinking back when you're a kid and you see something that you're just a little bit nuts or something like that. You know, in my case, I thought I was nuts, or that people were going to think I was nuts. So this was nice to have it on TV where we could sit there and go, oh my God, this is real. I mean, it's really real. It's happening. And that's the part that I think was the catalyst for all these other ghost shows coming out. It's like, you know, tonight we had the premiere of a new ghost show tonight, Ghosts of Shepherdstown.
Oh,
and so, yeah. Well, see, I have her on my show tomorrow. Lori Johnson is going to be on my show tomorrow night. And she told me she couldn't talk about the show until it aired. I said, I got you the day after.
That's so awesome. And that's going to be on tomorrow night?
No, it's on my show. Yeah, my show will be on tomorrow night, and her show is DVR'd it. You can watch it and bring your questions to her. But I think that's going to be an interesting show.
What time is that?
My show is at 7 Central.
7 Central time.
On ParanormalKing.com. That's one of the 11 listening links. I cannot give you all 11.
I know, there's a ton. You can get it on TuneIn. That's what I listen to it on. That's the easiest one for me is TuneIn. I love TuneIn.
You can get it on Streama.com. You can get it on Live Radio. I can't remember.
Mixler. Is it still on Mixler?
Yep, we can still get it on that. And let's see, there was another one that we got. Oh, Zeno Radio. That's another one. So Ross will love me because I at least said it.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting to hear about all these new shows. And I don't know how you felt about this Nick Groff's show.
I liked it, actually. I liked it. It was.
We haven't watched them all yet.
Yeah. I've not to see all of them, but the couple that I saw I really liked. He seems to take a more, I'm not knocking on Ghost Adventures, but it seems like he takes a little bit more serious approach than the Ghost Adventures did, in my opinion. You know, and just the way he's doing, I really like it.
I like the part that they're not coming back and saying, well, this is what we saw then. It seems more like they're presenting to us as it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I love
so
that.
It feels live. Even though we know that it's not, I mean, they're there for 5 days or whatever, I think it's 5. but they're there for all this time, and when things happen, we're getting to see it as they're doing it. Yeah, I know it was filmed in the winter, and that it was cut up to match their time, but it seems like when we're listening to their EVPs that we're listening to them with them.
I always love that kind of show, too.
Yeah, and so it's not like they're coming back and saying, this is what we heard. Oh, sorry.
The cat, remember last time you were on the show, was attacking you, so this time you had to get a photo bomb in or something.
So, but like I said, it makes you feel like you're right there with them, even though it's been 6 or 7 months since they filmed that episode. So that gives them I think it gives them a little bit more credibility. They're not coming back in and doing a whole bunch of voiceovers.
Right.
So, that I like.
I like it. I like it. And he's using George Brown, who I'm Facebook friends with, his Geo box, which is interesting. Get to see that on a TV show finally, and they've gotten some really interesting replies with that.
Yeah, and then we've been getting some really good laughs from Ghost Brothers.
Oh yeah, I watched that too. It was entertaining. It was fun.
Yes, it was. And the thing is they did come up with some, giving us some different locations that we could check out. And you know what? They're having fun. And isn't that the reason that we all get involved to start with?
It was entertaining. The show was entertaining. I was entertained. I haven't been entertained watching a ghost show in a while. I have trouble watching them sometimes. Oh, yeah. And so I enjoyed it. I hope they're back. I hope that Destination America has it's starting to get a track record of giving shows one season and then canceling them.
Yeah, I know.
So let's hope that they let them come back. And even people that want to pick on Haunted Asylum. The Tennessee Wraith Chasers, Ghost Asylum, and I understand why I've joked about them trying to trap ghosts, but they seem like decent guys. And
I like the way that they investigate, though. I don't like the ghost trap thing.
No, that's my one issue.
It's just like with mountain monsters. If you catch a Bigfoot, what are you going to do with it? I mean, let's be honest. What are you going to do with it?
That's pure Hollywood. I'm sorry. I have to stand my ground on those guys. The mountain monsters is this pure, unadulterated crap of Hollywood. I won't watch it. I do watch it because I want to laugh. Because how stupid these Appalachians are. And my mom is from the Appalachians, and so I'm watching these people and going, are these the same people that made the sign that says no tree passing? And knives sharpening, things like that. Because if they are, then I'm not missing anything. But it is fun to watch stupid people, and there's plenty of it out there then for you, Denise.
Oh, I know. And the other thing is Ghost Asylum. They've given us some different locations to check out too. But when they did the Missouri State Pen, I wanted to slap them because
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Well, they focused on only 2 people, trying to narrow it down to these 2 people, and that's not even the most interesting story there.
No.
But it was an interesting story. These 2 people killed this kid, and they died together in the gas chamber, and that part is interesting. And they were only there like 4 to 6 months. These people were only in jail 4 to 6 months before they were killed. Okay. Swift justice. And but one of the interesting things that they didn't talk about was, things like, well, first of all, people's names, because Thomas Sears does not exist. His name is Thomas Wells, the guy who gave him the tour. He's a good friend of mine. So I keep laughing. Thomas Sears is always out having a beer, while Thomas Wells is at work. But they couldn't get that right. But why didn't they focus on Tiny Mercer? He's a guy not that long ago. He was the last person put to death there. And he killed a waitress just for no good reason. Just killed her. And what's really interesting about that is my daughter-in-law, her mother used to date this guy.
Oh, wow.
I want to know more about this guy. First of all, why would my daughter-in-law's mother want to date this guy? That's the first thing I want to know. But what went along with this? I'd like to know more. what's interesting is to see the pictures when these people were checked into the jail to when they were getting ready to be put to death, how different they look.
Oh,
They look sober finally. They don't look like they're strung out on drugs. You know, then we were talking earlier, well, you tried to say Villisca earlier, but one of the inmates in the Villisca, one of the inmates at the Missouri State Pen was actually one of the guys that was investigated for the Villisca axe murders. His name was Henry Moore. He was given life in prison at the Missouri State Pen for axing to death 2 of his family members in Columbia, Missouri. He was let out on good behavior, so he never died there. He died in some rundown halfway house in St. Louis. But he did some time there. You know, wouldn't it be nice to maybe one of these things together, you know, some of these locations, and say, look,
or just be open to getting any of those spirits, you know, not just focus on one. I think they do that because they're trying to trap a ghost, so they focus on what they're trying to trap, which is why that show frustrates me at times.
And it also frustrates me that they focus so much on urban legends. Mm-hmm. They don't always focus on any facts, but at least that one they had the facts. You know,
a case I'd like to talk about before we run out of time. Got a half hour left because I want to show. I didn't get to show this footage. I finally found it. It's off another. I hope I don't get nailed by YouTube, but it's off another old TV show. Is the McPike Mansion. Now I saw this footage years ago of this what they call the mist phenomenon in the McPike Mansion, and to me it's some weird stuff. So I'm gonna share the screen here and show people this really quick, and we'll talk. I'm sure you've seen it. Let me get my share screen up home. I gotta get the lower third off. All right, let me see here. Find the right Pike Mansion. All right, here we go. I'm gonna try to fast forward through it because it's a whole episode from this show on it. Oh no, maybe not. Oh, this is somebody else doing it. Hold on. Nope, this is it. Oh, it's only 4 minutes of it, but still. Yeah. Let me see if I can get to the actual footage, though.
Was this fog, kind of like smoke? It was cold, and the mist was above me on the steps. It was definitely female. I don't know how I can say that because it was a mist and not a human form.
I knew right then that I'd seen a ghost.
Let me get it fast forward. The audio quality is awful on this.
It is. Welcome to the McPike Mansion. Built in 1869, the now abandoned house is shrouded in legends of violence and fear.
Hold on. I'm trying to get to the right footage because this is what I've always remembered being crazy about this place.
And they think the spirits have gathered in. Cameras rolling. What they experience, they'll never forget.
We were kind of chatting and just walking around, and suddenly we walked into a different room, and there was a very, very thick mist. It almost looked like a thick smoke. Oh my God, I can see it moving right around in front of me.
Is this just a freak of nature, or the physical manifestation of a ghost?
Oh my God, okay, I'm recording, I am on record, so everybody can really see it now. I could feel it, even through my clothing, I could feel it. It felt like feathers were brushing against my body. Oh, big time now, big time.
Renee and the other witnesses dismissed the theory that the mist is humidity or some other substance of this world.
If it were mist, we figured it would leave condensation on our lenses or cameras. You would feel it on your skin, on your clothes, but there was nothing like that. It felt electric.
Oh my gosh.
Even harder to explain is the way the mist moves around the basement, as if it has a will of its own.
Oh my God. Oh, and you know what? I can see it changing direction. Now, as witnesses on this room is clear. It was totally clear when we left it, just a few minutes.
Now, this video is really crappy. I was trying to find better video footage, but I can't. I had one other.
I know what you're talking about because I've seen that up close and personal, and the people who presented that video, Paranormal Task Force, I'm pretty good friends with, and
I think it's incredible footage.
It is, and they couldn't on Fact or Faked, could not prove that it was faked, and it wasn't bugs or anything like that. But I will tell you, it is just one of the most amazing places that we go. In fact, I was just there last night at McPike Mansion. So we had all kinds of stuff happening last night there. It's just always amazing.
If you get videotape footage of that mist, I want you to show. Could you bring it so we show it on the show next time you're on?
If I ever get it when I'm taping, I will send it.
Oh yeah.
Usually he's a friend of ours. He's the tech guy there. He usually has cameras set up, and the day that we saw it there, the cameras were not on yet.
Oh, I figured.
Yeah, we could see it and everything else, but he didn't have the cameras rolling, so we missed it. And missed, M-I-S-T, it. And it really kind of irritated the life out of me, but it was the same day that I saw a full-body apparition in the basement as well. But I will say the house looks 100 times better than it did in that video. So that's what they're doing, is restoring it, and it's starting to look like you're going to be able to tour inside the house probably in 5 to 10 years. So
I'm hoping I get to, because I've ever since I've seen that video, I've always wanted to go there. It's not too far from me. So it's somewhere I definitely want to go check out. And I remember last time you were on, they were getting ready to do like a fundraiser for it.
Yeah, we were getting ready to do a camp out. In fact, I think it was just this time last year. We did the camp out last year, and let's see, I was sick. I had a broken foot and all that stuff. And we went and we spent my birthday there, and that was the last summer camp out that they were going to do. So now the only camp out you can go to is going to be the week before Halloween every year, until they decide not to do them anymore. And so that's the only bad part. But there are monthly.
How do you get there's monthly tours of the property, or going inside the house?
You can only go downstairs in the
That's right.
the wine cellar until it's off the condemned list. So they've put about $200,000 into the house, so they've already done the roof, and now they're working on the windows, so that as soon as they can, it'll all be sealed up to where the weather stops causing them more damage.
Right.
But like I said, they've done a great job. They've done 19 of the windows on the north side of the or south side of the house, and the front. If you go back and look at that video, you can see that the windows are out, and the front door looks like crap. It looks really good. All the windows in the front of the house are complete, and they go up and down and everything, and they're built just like they were when the house was originally built in 1867. So historically speaking, the house is going to be historically accurate. And I can't wait to see all that. But I saw a video of McPike Mansion before the mist, and it was ghost stories again with Peter McNew, and well, maybe it was around the same time as the mist, but because I think that's what they showed. They talked about that, but they talked about the spirit people would see in the windows and all that. But my three places were the Sally House, McPike, and the Villisca Axe Murder House. I felt like I needed to know what I needed to know about. These are my places that I had to know about. And, of course, I'm volunteers at two of them and on a first-name basis with the other. And I just love it. You know, I can't say enough about Sharon and George that own the McPike Mansion. I can't say enough about meeting the Pickmans and how they are really real people like me and you. They're not. I feel like I could spend time with them, which I have.
They're real people, you know. They're not paranormal celebrities, is what people think they are. But no, they work just like we do. You know, this isn't their everyday life. You know. Hold on, I got a caller.
Right. Woohoo!
You there, Rhodey?
Oh, hang on.
Just got to make sure she turns off her YouTube. Yep.
Okay. I turned YouTube off.
Okay, awesome. But I still hear myself slightly.
Well, I literally Hang on. Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I do have the YouTube totally turned off the computer. I hope that you can hear me.
I hear you.
Okay.
Hey, Rhodey.
Okay. Hey, Denise. It's so good to see you. And since I can't see, is it okay that I start asking my question?
Nope, go for it.
Okay. Well, it's sort of a 2 or 3-parter, but
nope, you always got good questions.
Yeah, well, the first one's not so good, but why are they? Is it Sally House is for sale? Do you know why they want to sell it?
I'm going to go with some of it is publicity, free publicity. The other part of it is if they could make some money off of it, why not sell it and get it out their hands? But I'm going to go with $750,000 for a 1,200 square foot house. Good luck with that.
Oh, wow, they'll never get that. I know.
Well, you never know. There might be some paranormal celebrity out there, Zach Bagans, that might go out there and buy it. You never know.
No, he didn't like that house very much.
No, but there's people like him out there that do buy this stuff up sometimes.
Yeah.
I would have they would need to have their head examined.
Mm-hmm. I always thought that too.
I agree. I was listening to y'all talk, and Denise, you were naming even more of these new shows. I'd heard of some of them, so this is my real question to you as someone who is such a good spokesperson for this field and someone that's been doing it a while and know. And you got into this for the research end of it, try to research, improve things, and that's why a lot of people got into it. But do you think these shows, because they've really been on, they might have had their heyday a few years ago, but there's so many of them. Do you think in the long run that they have helped or hurt with research?
Oh, wow.
And yes or no, if yes or no, why? I'd really like to know what you think of that.
I think on some of the shows have really hurt it because they stagnate and don't use any new technology. They kind of stick with the old stuff and they don't look for anything new. So like with Paranormal Lockdown, they're pulling in some different stuff and saying, look, we can use this, as opposed to, oh, let's go use the flashlight trick. We're not going to talk about the flashlight trick because people don't like to talk about how it's bullshit. Sorry, that's me. You sit there and you fiddle with that little flashlight until it just comes on. You know, ghost hunters. Every time I see that, I walk out of the room. Doesn't matter who. Every time I see it, I walk out of the room.
She draws the line at the flashlight, people. The flashlight, no.
Yeah. So you show me a flashlight that all you do is touch it and it comes on one of these shows, then I'll believe it. But if you sit there and mess with a mag light, no. So some of the people are sitting there and taking that this is the God's honest truth, that this works. And that's the part that's really hurting the paranormal, is that they're taking exactly what they're seeing on TV and not making anything new out of their own experiences. They're trying to have the same experience that Zach Bagans had here, or Grant Wilson had here. You need to have your own experience and not be a sheep. You need to be out there and be a leader. And
innovative. You need to be innovative.
Yeah, because
that's why I like Ghost Lab. Remember Ghost Lab was on Discovery Channel?
Yeah, I do.
I like them because they were very innovative. They went out and tried to, the Kling brothers, they went out and tried to do a lot of new stuff, like experimentation. I really liked that show and was pissed off when they canceled it. So yeah, I totally agree.
Probably coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They're on their renewal tour, but yeah. So, and then there are some shows out there, like I said, that are coming out with new things and showing us, like when I know this is controversial, but when the equipment that came out with David Roundtree, who's now out of the paranormal, he came up with some equipment that was different. I like when on Ghost Adventures that Bill Chappell shows us a new piece of equipment and tells us how it works.
He's always got such crazy stuff. It's so awesome.
Right. So that kind of stuff is helping the paranormal field, I feel.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It's some of that stuff that when they stay with the old school stuff, sometimes the old school gets the best results. But sometimes the old school way is not the best way, and sometimes the new way is not the best way. You know, spirits are going to interact when they're ready to interact, regardless of what it is. I mean, I have a little bell that I put on a little ornament holder, and I sit it down, and I ask the spirit to ring that bell. You want to know why? Because those spirits are going to know what a bell is. No matter when they were born, you know what a bell is. You tell a spirit to come up and touch this little red light, or touch my piece of equipment, which they do on Ghost Asylum.
It's a demon.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't like talking to a spirit like they know exactly what this thing is. You have to assume that, well, like I write stuff for work. I write it for an idiot, so that an idiot can come in and do my job should I not be there. Okay? You need to make ghost hunting idiot-proof so that that spirit, no matter when he died or when he lived, he's going to know what you want him to do. That's why I like dowsing rods. That's why I like my bell. That's why I like my compass. It doesn't have to be fancy, even though the fancy stuff does help prove to other people that you've seen something. But, you know, like when on Ghost Asylum, was it Ghost Asylum? No, on Ghost Adventures, when they got that compass on that ship.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I was actually impressed that they went that far.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go with Rhodey. It's 50-50, and I think you've just heard all my reasons why. So, and like I said,
it's diplomatic, 50-50, okay.
Well,
and now Ghost Hunters is gone.
Yeah. And we need, as far as the paranormal field goes, we need to come up with our own ways to speak to the spirits and not follow how everybody else is doing it. Because you might get better results if you talk to the spirit. Well, you know, like when you talk to a baby, if you talk to the baby like a baby, the baby's only going to talk back to you in baby talk. You know,
right.
If I talk to the spirit like it's right here with me, I might get more responses than other people because I'm treating that spirit like it's right here with me, as opposed to, oh, you died 100 years ago, you know, whatever. But, you know, again, you need to do the research to know who you're talking to and what they might understand. Like when I go to McPike Mansion, those spirits all died before, like, 1930. So if you're sitting there and you're talking to them about President Obama, when they remember Abraham Lincoln, they may not talk to you because they don't know what in the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but then, like I said, you have these other people saying, oh, touch this little blue light. Touch this little blue light. And they're going, how do you know that they can even see that light? How do you know that they can actually see you? You know,
or they're not scared of it.
Yeah.
That's what I've always thought.
Well, now I'm really embarrassed because I always hold up the recorder and say, talk into this little orange light. So I guess I'm going to stop that.
You're not the only one, Rhodey. A lot of investigators do that.
Know. Maybe they can see the little orange light, but I don't know that. You know?
Right.
I always put my recorder near something that they're going to recognize, so that it's not.
You make good points.
I try. I really try hard to make good points. Even if I go over
Jason,
long...
Could I ask her one more question before the show ends,
no
Jason?
problem. Go for it, Rhodey.
Okay, and it's sort of in the vein, of something you were just saying. I want to see what you think of this. I just thought of this a while back. I was going somewhere with Katrina Cooper, my paranormal partner.
We love Katrina.
Yeah, I know y'all know her. I decided to take a little stuffed bear because there was supposedly a little girl there. And I decided that night, and I've done it since, I'm taking that little bear with me everywhere I go. He's named Teddy, and setting him out and just talking to him, saying, this is Teddy. And I don't know, I thought maybe if I take him everywhere from now on, maybe he'll pick up he or she, a little energy from each place, and maybe one day become a trigger object. I don't know. It was just a thought, and I'm following through on it. You got any thoughts?
The ghost would be like or the bear would be like ghost contaminated.
Well, yeah, ghost contaminated.
Yeah, that's what I'm joking, but I'm kind of serious too.
Oh yeah, but okay. Well, I don't know. Just I'm trying to think of different things to do and try. That was so.
I think it's a good idea.
I think anything.
I do.
I mean, if you're trying to get a spirit that is a child to come to it, that's going to be a way to work, because teddy bears have been around since, let's see, since Teddy Roosevelt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when the actual teddy bear came out, was when Teddy Roosevelt was president. Were there teddy bears before that? Probably, but they weren't called teddy bears. They were just called bears. So the thing is a child is going to see something that looks like a toy, and they're going to come towards it. So regardless of if you expose it to energy or not, it's a trigger object.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like me going into the Sally house. I am a trigger object. People want me to go in there so that they can see me get scratched. Thank you. But you know, it's what it is. You know, this person or this thing has gotten a response before. So when you put your bear down at wherever it is and you're trying to get activity, put your REM pod near it. You know, it's no different than spending the $99 on the Boo Buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Just less annoying because you won't be sitting there. Are you here with me?
Yeah.
Did you say something?
The Boo Buddy.
Yeah.
You know, the guys in my group are pissed off about the Boo Buddy because years ago when we first started our group, they were trying to put together a bear that did about everything like that, and they never got it all together, and then somebody else did, and they're like, oh, whatever. You know, I'm like, well, you knew somebody's going to eventually do it.
Well, Teddy Ruxpin existed long before that.
Right. It could be if Teddy Ruxpin starts spinning his head around and starts talking to you, but
yeah.
Well, but thank you, Rhodey, for calling in.
You know, you got the same thing with Furbies.
And
oh yeah.
Thank
Denise,
you,
I'll see you in about 3 months, and maybe you'll stay all night with us too in the Sally house. Just throw it out there.
Okay, we'll be there with you anyway for a while, and make sure you listen tomorrow night at 7.
Oh, of course. All right. Thank you. Great show again, Jason. Thanks you so
Rhodey.
much.
Have a good night.
Okay, thanks, hon.
Bye.
But yeah, I have friends that use a Furby as the trigger object because it does interact with people.
And spies on us from China.
Well, we got a lot of things spying on us from China. So.
Or it's the little toys they make in China that like whisper like hateful things to your kid, like the baby monitors, all that kind of stuff. Like, seriously, they had a baby monitor that was like or there was this thing from China that was like telling the kid once in a while to go, "I hate you," in like the low tone. Like, seriously. But you know. So you did you mentioned earlier that you went to some of these distilleries too. You're like touring around, going to the haunted distilleries.
Yes.
Did you guys end up getting to investigate, find any evidence there at all, or?
At Buffalo Trace Distillery, that's in Frankfort. We've been there probably 6 times.
Right. Is that Frankfort, Illinois?
No, Frankfort, Kentucky. The Buffalo
Kentucky, okay.
The Bourbon Trail is in Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky.
That's where we're going right now. We have hit other distilleries in other places, but currently I've only done the ones in Kentucky. And there I saw a full-body apparition in the oldest house in Franklin County.
Oh, wow.
And it's right there on Buffalo Trace used to be a town. It used to be the town of Leesville. And so, or Leestown, I'm sorry. Leestown. And so the oldest house is right there, and they just got it all redone and everything. And before they even started the reconstruction of the house, I had gotten a full-body apparition standing in the door. We had gone on a ghost tour, and I had gotten it. And then we went on just a tour, daytime tour, and I got another one. So that was really interesting. I got, there's a house on there as well that used to be the Colonel Blanton's house. If you know anything about bourbon, Blanton's bourbon is one of the most expensive, well, it's one of the most expensive ones you can get. It's in a nice round bottle and has little horses on top that if you put them in order, it's Kentucky Derby race.
Is that what you bought for your husband?
No, that was Elijah.
Oh, okay.
But we have a large collection of bourbon. I only drink one kind, and that's Buffalo Trace. And it's usually bourbon cream, so mine's different.
Yeah.
But I love going to all the distilleries. So in the Colonel Blanton's house, I've been pushed, and not hard. It was just like kind of like get out of the way, just kind of pushing me to the side.
Right.
Like they were in a hurry to get up. let's see, we went to Old Crow Distillery, and it's not really going to be Old Crow Distillery. The building is what used to be Old Crow Distillery, and if you guys recall, that was recently on Ghost Asylum. And so I contacted...
I thought that sounded familiar.
Yeah, I contacted the distillery, and I said I would really like to come and check it out. And I didn't say anything about ghost hunting or anything like that.
Right.
Because we were wanting to go to the distillery. They have a distillery there called Glens Creek Distilling. And so here's what's really neat is I knocked on the door, they let us in, and the guy didn't know we were coming because his boss didn't tell him. And
of course.
he spent 3 hours with the master distiller. We got to drink spirits off of, well, their white dog and 2 other of their white dogs. So we tried 3 of their bourbons right off the still. So,
that sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, it was. And then they took us on the tour of everything else. So this is after we tried it.
I wouldn't have made it to the tour. I'm a lightweight. I would have been like, I'm good.
Oh, it wasn't that much. So it was kind of neat. But, I mean, it's not every day that you can be in a distillery where there's only 3 people that work there. And you get to spend the day with the master distiller. This place is going to be big someday, I think. And so he takes us back to the old buildings because, you know, it's dangerous. Nature has taken over a lot of the distillery. So, and the rick houses are falling down and all that. And so they take us back there, and he's showing us around. And it's amazing, first of all. It's just amazing to see how nature has taken it over. But where we're back there, I see this thing looking through the window at us. At first I thought, well, maybe it's a deer. And because I'd seen a deer earlier. I'd also seen a possum and a raccoon and other things. And I look again, and it's still there. And it looked like a man. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. And, of course, I'm taking pictures of everything that I can. I mean, if you followed me on Facebook anytime this past week, I had tons and tons of pictures of every damn we went. And I didn't catch it. I ended up catching the black fungus on the windows that's there from the bourbon. It's from the alcohol. And caught that, but that wasn't
no image of the person. But no, you didn't capture any image of what you saw, though.
No. And mostly because there was just so many things that you couldn't look at everything. And I also heard somebody walking, but again, did I hear somebody walking or did I hear an animal walking? So I want to go back when they have it a little bit more cleaned up so that we can walk around and check it out a little bit more. But I will tell you, no matter what, if you ever get to go down to Glens Creek Distilling or to, which is Old Crow, down the road is Old Taylor Distillery. That place, it's haunted as well. We didn't get in there because we didn't call in advance. It looks like a castle, and their bourbon's going to be Castle and Key. And that's my next one to go to that we're going to check out that's haunted. We went to the Jim Beam Distillery. It's haunted as well. I didn't see anything, but it is haunted. You figure these buildings have been there since 1792. A lot of these buildings and a lot of these distilleries have been there since forever. So
I think George Washington's distillery is still around.
Yes, it is, and he made rye whiskey and a moonshine type whiskey. So he made white whiskey, where that's a little bit different. But bourbon is something that when Kentucky was settled, what they did was they told everybody that you could have all the land you wanted out there. 40 acres of land as long as you planted 1 acre of corn. So they gave 40 acres of land, they planted an acre of corn. Guess what? They had a whole shitload of corn left over, so they came up with this, and lo and behold, they came up with this drink that they liked. Well, the only reason it's brown now is because Elijah Craig, he put it into a barrel and sent it down the river to the Mississippi, and he's from Bourbon County. And so when it got down there, it was brown. Didn't know, and so the people go, we don't know what you sent us, but it's really good. Can you send us some more? He didn't, he had no clue that his fish barrel that he had burned out had turned the liquor in 3 months brown. And they called it bourbon because it had bourbon stamped on the side from Bourbon County. So all by accident. So
it's crazy how those things happen.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things that when you go to all these distilleries, you learn the history. Even the newer distilleries are usually built on old distillery sites. And a fact is that Bobby Mackey's is built on an old distillery site.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've heard of that too.
Are from the distillery.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to leave you with this. There are 2 places that are extremely haunted that have the same address. The Sally House and the Villisca Axe Murder House have the same address.
Oh, right.
So
that's true.
And they both.
That's an eerie coincidence, or is it?
And when you add numbers together, they're 13.
It's weird though that you have the same address, and it ends up being the 2 places that you've been drawn to, besides McPike Mansion, but that you've been drawn to both. Well, thank you so much, Denise, for coming on the show. Enjoy being able to talk to you. You know, even if it wasn't a show, just getting to talk to you, because you're so full of knowledge, especially when it comes to the history of these places, and getting kind of down to the nuts and bolts of what really might have happened as far as you can research. It's good to get away from like the urban legends. I get a lot of urban legend tales on this show, and that's what I love about you, is you get down to what you can find out as the mere fact. And that's what I want to see from the future of paranormal TV. You know what? I care less about the drama or the actual investigating part. I want to see more about the research of the history of a place, and I want to see more of the evidence, clearly, with no theme music in the background while I hear the evidence. You know,
I agree.
You know, so that's what I hope the future of paranormal TV holds, and an end of an era of ghost hunters now ending. I saw Rhodey say, "What, Ghost Hunters is done?" Yeah, they Jason Hawes announced they're done leaving sci-fi. So, it's the end of an era, and we'll see what the future holds for paranormal TV. I don't know. We'll see. Next week. Yeah. Next week, let me get my screen share up. I'll show that flyer really quick. I'm going to have on Greg Friedman. That's not my playlist there. All right, there we go. Greg Friedman's a spiritual mentor and guide. He's going to talk a lot about his show Inner Journey and his spiritual advice for people. And we'll have the call-in line that next week as well. Same Skype line, OOJBland00, to call and get your questions. Again, thank you, Denise. Thank you, Jamie. I know you didn't get to talk a lot tonight, but I still love having you in the panel there. And hopefully Judy will be with us next week. Thank you, guys. I will see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel, 10 p.m. to midnight Central Time. So we will see you guys then. Have a great night and a great weekend. I forgot to mention, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but didn't really get into it. In October 2nd, we will have a earlier time for the show. I know that's still way in advance, but it'll be 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The reason I'm doing it early is for Deborah and Tony Pickman, who we talked about from the Sally House. They have to work early the next day, so they had to do an earlier show. I requested off, make sure I could get them on, because it's going to be well worth it to hear their story. Even Denise kind of stayed away from what they have to say, because she knows they're going to come on the show. So can't wait to hear come October 2nd from Denise, from Deborah and Tony Pickman about the Sally House and their experiences. Thank you guys again. Next week, 10 p.m. to midnight with Greg Friedman, your inner journey, spiritual mentor and guide. See you guys next week. Have a great Sunday night and now into Monday morning. See you next week.